Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to study modal verbs, which is an important topic of grammar. So, in this session, we are going to learn what modals are and also how to identify the variety of uses of modals in expressing meaning. We are also going to learn use of modals in writing, where to use and how to use. So I'm sure that this session would be useful for each one of you. So let's get started. Let's understand first of all what modal verbs are. Modal verbs are helping verbs which are used together with base form of main verbs. They express different types of meanings. So let's have a look at the examples of various kinds of modals. Would, could, can, must, may, might, shall, should, will. All these are examples of modals. These verbs can, could, may, might, must, will, would, shall, should, and ought are modal verbs. And here I would like to tell you that they do not take a suffix like s, ing, or ed. You cannot add this to these verbs. For example, he should stay there. Can we add s, ing, or ed to should? No, we can't do that. They are followed by a bare infinitive. But yes, we do have an exception here, and that is ought. Because we add to ought. For example, you ought to get a job. So this is an exception, else we don't use any word in front of the modal verbs. So these are examples of modals, and I hope it's quite clear to everyone. So children, we often use modals in our sentences, but we must know the correct use of modals, how to use and where to use. So, where are modals put in a sentence? Let's study this sentence. I shall be leaving when everything is done. Now, you all can identify the modal in this sentence, and it is shall. And it is used before helping verb, which is be. So, where are modals put in a sentence? That is very important to understand. So we have modal auxiliary, we have primary auxiliary, and we have main verb. So shall is a modal auxiliary, be is primary auxiliary, and main verb is leaving. So when we say modal auxiliaries, you can use any modal here like will, can, shall, should, may, might, depending upon the sentence you wish to frame. And then you can add any verb in front of it. It depends upon the kind of sentence you are framing. So that needs to be clear. So I shall be leaving. If I tell you to identify the modal auxiliary, primary auxiliary, and the main verb in this particular sentence, you can easily identify. Shall here is modal auxiliary, be here is primary auxiliary, or you can also call it your helping verb, and your leaving is main verb. Let's study another sentence. He could walk yesterday. Here, could is a modal auxiliary. We don't have any primary auxiliary in this particular sentence, but yes, we do have main verb, which is walk. He could walk yesterday. So appropriate use needs to be there. Modals have tenses normally. Can is changed to could when we have to write in past tense. Will changes to would. Shall changes to should. And may changes to might. So whenever you change present tense to past tense, these are the changes that we witness. Modals. But now let's have a look at these sentences. She may be at home. She might be in school. I shall take part in the competition next month. I should be doing my homework instead of playing games. So you all can see that she may be at home, the kind of tense that is used in this sentence, and she might be in school. Here we can see that we have used might, where we are showing the possibility. I shall take part in the competition next month. Here we are talking about future. So this is how we use tenses. Possibility indicates something is likely to happen or to predict. Different degrees of likelihood. Cannot, very unlikely, could or might, can, may, will, shall, and must is very likely. So showing possibility. These modal verbs are showing possibility. So you all can see cannot to must. Cannot is very unlikely and must is very likely. It means showing the strong possibility of something. Obligation. It's used to indicate that an action is required because someone is responsible. Should, not used as past tense of shall. Must, used to give orders that someone is obliged to follow. We use could, may, might to show that something is possible or likely. For example, Tom could or may or might still be at school. It is possible that he is still at school. So this is how we use these modals to show obligation. I hope whatever we read so far or whatever we discussed so far is clear to everyone. So we are actually studying the use of modals, where to use which modal, and that is very important to understand. So now we are talking about obligation, and one such is you must obey the government. Again, you can see here must is a modal and it is showing obligation. You must obey the government. Now let's talk about ability. What can be used to show ability? Ability means to indicate if something can or cannot be done. For example, can or cannot. Could is used to express ability in the past. not to express likelihood in which it can be used in present or past tense. We use can't for negative logical assumptions. Jack and Paul can't be strangers. They have been next door neighbors for years. I'm sure they aren't strangers. We use must not, can't for prohibitions. You must not, can't park your car near a bus stop. It is forbidden to park there. So you must not, can't park your car near a bus stop. So we use must not and can't for prohibitions. In a classroom, Mr. Judge, who is always right, would say, "You should pay attention in class, so you must not talk to your friends. It's an obligation." Bossy Betty, who demands a lot, would say, "I must talk to my friends in class, even if it makes the teacher unhappy. I need to be heard. It is necessity or insistence." Superman, who has superpowers, would say, "I can remember how the human circulatory system works because I paid attention. It's showing ability. I can remember, showing ability." Old Mr. Think a Lot would say, "I will never be able to finish all that work by tomorrow. I could work faster if they would stop making noise." It's showing possibility. So now you can see in this slide that should is used for obligation, must is used for necessity, can is used to show ability, and will is used to show possibility. We use have to express that it is necessary to do something, especially when somebody else, but not the speaker, has made a decision. For example, I have to stay late at work tomorrow. Now, why? My boss told me to stay. So I have to stay late at work tomorrow. So we use have to express that it is necessary to do something. We use don't, have to, need not to express lack of necessity. I don't have to, need not to do the shopping. I have already done it. So it's not necessary. It isn't necessary for you to do it because you have already done it. So I don't have to or need not to do the shopping. So it expresses lack of necessity. We use can, could, may, might to ask for permission. Could, may, might are more formal than can. Remember this thing. Could, may, and might are more formal than can. Can is informal. Can I go to the park? It's informal. But when you use could in place of can, it's more formal. Could, may, might I take next Monday off? Is it permitted for me to? So it's a formal way of asking if you could do that. We use can or may to give permission. And let me tell you, children, if we look at may and can, may is more formal than can. Of course, you can use the phone. It's an informal way of telling someone something. You may leave your luggage here, sir. It's a formal way of telling someone that he may leave his luggage there. Now let's have a look at the slide. We use could or may and might to show that something is possible or likely. For example, Tom could, or you can also write may or might still be at school. It is possible that he is still at school. So you are showing that something is possible or likely. We use could or can to make a request. Would, could or can we use to make a request. Could you open the door for me, please? It's a very polite request. Could you open the door for me, please? As I shared earlier, it's a formal way. Can is little informal. We use must, ought to, should to give advice. Let's have a look at this example. You ought to or should study more. You must study better. So when you need to give advice to someone, you can use ought to, should, or must. Modals and auxiliaries, these are the basic auxiliaries. Be means am, is, was, were. Have, has and had. Do, does and did. These are the basic auxiliaries. So that's all for today. I hope you all understood the use of modals in writing. Thank you so much.